Hey everyone, it's your coach Katelyn Lesk here, and I have a message for you today about your warm market, which is traditionally defined in business, or especially in network marketing business, as the group of people you know initially. So these could be friends, family, acquaintances, kind of your first line of who you're going to talk to about what you're doing, and perhaps your first line of customers. When I first started as a Beachbody coach, so many of the successful coaches were saying you always have to be expanding out of your warm market, and they made it seem like if you didn't, your business was going to fail eventually. And I was terrified because I just didn't know where I was going to find these other people. I didn't have a website. I didn't have a huge online following. So it was something that was really overwhelming for me because it made it seem like my business had a limited time frame. So even at the points where I was doing well, I was always worried about what happens when I run out of my warm market. So the thing I want to tell you today is a lesson on how I've expanded theoretically outside of my warm market, but in a way that has always felt like it is my warm market. And I'm going to give you some stories on how I've done this to give you some examples of how you can do it yourself. So first off, it's the end of the year, so I was setting some goals for next year, and these thoughts of I've been in this business for 3.5 years, and these thoughts still come up. This sort of training that we're all meant to believe we have to expand outside of our warm market. So when I initially sat down to write goals, that was the first thing that came up. And then it took me a second to realize, wait a minute, I've been in this business for 3.5 years. There's no way I'm still in my warm market. That would be impossible. And so it really caused me to sit down and look at how I've gotten outside of my warm market, but in a way that's felt really good to me and really aligned, and hasn't felt like this forceful, yucky, like cold calling, the way we picture getting outside of our warm market to feel like. So the way I've done it, I would say the biggest strategy for me is that anytime I'm out and meeting new people at a party, at a meeting, anything, I always add people to my Facebook. So for example, I was visiting some friends on the other side of the state last week, and we took a big group picture when we were all out together. And so I had the picture, I posted on my Facebook. So I was asking these people, right then and there, hey, are you on Facebook? I'll tag you in this picture. So when I go into a setting like that, I'm never looking at it as, oh, these are all potential prospects. To me, I've always felt like if I have to do that, if I have to feel like everywhere I go, I'm always looking for prospects, that affects my quality of life. It can't be like that. I have to be able to enjoy life. I don't want to feel like I'm always working. So when I'm at group outings like these, I literally look at it as these are people I really like, and they're cool people, and I may not know them all that well, but I'd be interested in getting to know them better. So regardless of whether they become a customer or not, I want to add them to my Facebook, and I want to stay in touch with them. And the funny part about this is the same friends that I was visiting, I also went to visit at this time last year and did the same thing where I friended a lot of their friends on Facebook. And this year it was so cool because getting to see them again, I still feel like I've kept in touch with them throughout the year. I've gotten to know them better. I've gotten to know more about their lives. And so it was extra enjoyable to see them again this year because they felt like my friends. So there's benefits to doing this regardless of whether they ever turn into a prospect or not. But as soon as I add them to Facebook, now they're seeing all of my posts. They're seeing my Beachbody workouts. They're seeing what the challenge groups I'm promoting. They're seeing the sales. And so if they are interested and that happens to be something they're looking for, they will reach out and message me and ask me about it. If I am out and I happen to have a conversation where so often one of the first questions that people ask you, what do you do for a living? And I always say, I'm an online health and fitness coach. And that will often lead to conversations where people specifically do want to know more. That's a little different. I will get those people's information. I'll make sure I talk to them one-on-one after that and follow up with them about that. And, that is somebody that is already saying, hey, I want to be one of your customers. That's a little bit of a different situation where I am more diligent with that. But for the most part, adding people to my Facebook network is expanding my warm market. So these aren't people that were in my original warm market, and they might not have been there initially when I started coaching, but by adding people that are going to see my posts, that is expanding my network. So the other way I've done this is that whenever I'm at a meeting or something like that, I have conversations with people, and I have no problem saying like, wow, this is a really interesting conversation. Like, I'd love to like continue to stay in touch. Are you on Facebook? Like, that's one of the ways I do it as well. So even if there's not a picture that I'm tagging people in, just any kind of conversation we've had, I'll add them on Facebook. Or if I know that whoever organized this meeting or party is probably friends with them on Facebook, sometimes I'll find them after the fact, add them as a friend, and then shoot them a message and just say like, hey, it was great talking to you about your trip to Italy, and I'd love to stay in touch. You seem like an awesome person. And all of these like are not sales pitches. I mean that. I love people. I feel like every person I encounter has some value to offer, and I love staying in touch with people, and you never know who you're going to meet or what their story is. So all of these are ways that I expand my market. The other thing I've done a lot of is that I noticed that through Facebook groups, I was meeting a lot of people. So just like if you're already a coach, you know how close you get with our other coaches because we're all in the same Facebook groups together and we all talk. And so when I go to national events where I see coaches that maybe I've never met before, but I've talked to for a year online, I run up and I give them a big hug because I'm so excited to see them. I know them. We're friends. We might not have been friends in physically together prior to that, but that's not to devalue the relationships that are formed on social media. And sometimes you get to know a lot more intimate details about people than what people would be willing to share if you just met them in person at a party. So through Facebook groups, we have a group that's specifically for the neighborhood I live in. And I live in the city, so it's a big neighborhood with a lot of people concentrated in a small area. So this group has grown to be over 1,000 members. I am genuinely interested in what goes on in our neighborhood. I want to know about any crimes that happen. I want to know about any parking developments. I want to know about any new restaurants going in. I want to know all these things. And I want to share when I've discovered something local that I think is really valuable. So I'm always posting about my favorite restaurants, when the farmers markets are, cool pictures from being down on the trails in the neighborhood, that kind of thing. So I naturally want to participate. These kind of groups, you don't want to join for the sake of meeting prospects. You want to join because you're genuinely interested. It is so easy for me to post and interact in that group because I would do it anyway, whether I was a coach or not. I'm genuinely engaged. So what I've done is when I start talking to people on comment threads, and you kind of see the same names regularly popping up, I'll add them as a friend, or sometimes I'll send them a personal one-on-one message, something that I don't want to say in the group, maybe something about my specific address or something that I don't want to put out there to the general group. And so I'll send them a message and talk more personally with them. So those are people, again, that I've been able to add to my network. Now, once we're friends on Facebook, they're seeing my posts. If they're not interested, that's okay. If they are, they're going to reach out to me. So it's a way that feels like I'm growing outside of my warm network, but it still feels like my warm network. And why does it feel like that? Because I genuinely like these people and I'm genuinely interested in these people and what's going on in their lives. So for an example, because I've gotten to know so many people in this group, when I walk down the street, I often run into people that I know only through Facebook. And we're so excited to see each other and finally meet each other in person. That's not something that you get when you're just prospecting people on the internet. That comes from genuinely being interested and caring about other people. So when I realized how well that was working as a side bonus for my business, because I did have a lot of people that were local to my neighborhood that were reaching out and saying, hey, I need help losing weight, or I could use some help with my nutrition, I started joining a lot of other Facebook groups. But I always look at it as, what would I be interested in anyway? What makes it easy for me to participate? What do I want to connect with people on? And then I just look at it as a side perk of being able to expand my Facebook friends and more people that are able to see my posts. So for example, this is kind of a funny story. I'll leave it as a short story to say that I joined a woodworking group on Facebook because I was trying to build something. Don't ask. It did never end up happening. But when I joined, I was thinking I would join for the sake of asking people for help. Well, it turns out people in this Facebook group post the most amazing stuff that they've built. So even though I'm not currently building any wood projects, I love following what they're doing. I honestly, it's like work of art. I'm amazed by what these people are able to make. So I'm constantly commenting on their posts, telling them how awesome what they just made is, because I genuinely mean that. Like, I'm not in it for the tips anymore because clearly I'm not building anything, but I stay in the group because I'm interested. So same thing as our neighborhood group, when I end up talking to people multiple times and we start to form this casual relationship, I'll often send them a Facebook request. They recognize my name because they know we've been talking back and forth in this group. They don't always accept, but oftentimes people do. And so, again, it's just a way to expand beyond my normal network, to add more friends, and to have more people see what I'm posting about. So that is how I've grown my network. I've gone way beyond my initial warm market. In fact, most of my original customers never came from my close friends or family. Some of my family were my toughest clients, believe it or not. So it's been through doing this and from being engaged and caring about people, from seeing a post that they might make and, maybe they're struggling with something this week, or maybe they just went on a cool trip or something really exciting happened in their life. Instead of just thinking it and saying like, wow, that's cool, I will send them a message and talk to them and say like, hey, I'm really sorry you're going through this tough time. Just wanted to let you know I'm thinking about you. Or, hey, that was really awesome what you did the other day. I saw your post, like, congratulations. Things like that, to just show people that I care and that I'm interested in their life. That's what makes people interested in my life and what I'm doing. And the goal is not to convince every single person that I'm friends with on Facebook to buy into what I'm doing. It's just to gain that exposure. This is a relationship building business. So the more people that are seeing my stuff, even if they're not interested, that's okay. They might know somebody who's interested. If they know that I care, they're going to be more likely to send their friends and family my way. So that's kind of how it works. Expanding beyond your warm market is nothing to be afraid of, because oftentimes when you do it that way, it never feels like you're actually expanding beyond your warm market, because all of these people that I've added in the past couple of years feel like my friends. They're people that I care about, and they're people that I want to interact with. So that's the way I do it. If you have any questions about that, post below. I'd love to help you with that. It's a very simple process as long as you do it. And don't do it a few times and think that it's not working. Just like your real initial warm market, it takes time for people to actually see and understand what you're doing and see how you're able to help. So give it time, be patient with it. Start adding now, here and there. See, it's not like I just originally joined as a coach and instantly every party started asking people to be Facebook friends. It took practice and seeing the good that came out of it and seeing that people don't mind and people are excited when you're interested in them. It took me having to prove that to myself to get comfortable doing it. So just try to put your toes in the water a little bit here and there, see where it goes, and let me know. I'd love to hear your feedback, and I'd love to help you in any way I can. So let me know your thoughts. Post below if you found this helpful, and I will talk to you guys soon.